I don't scratch my ass in case I end up on fucking TikTok.
This podcast contains graphic descriptions that some listeners may find disturbing. Listener discretion is advised. Now, with that being said, welcome to the Mortal Musings podcast.
Right, let's do this.
Do you remember the time I caught cat vomit in my hands?
Yes. Yes.
Considering it was me holding a pile of vomit, you seemed a lot more affected.
Yes.
So for a bit of a context, lads, I wasn't just going around carrying cat sick.
No, cat threw up in her hands.
Well, there's more to it than that.
She didn't scrape it up.
No, I did not. When we first got Norman and, toilet training a puppy, it can be a bit tedious and there are accidents. And Norman shit on the floor. And any time that Norman shit in the house within the first week, wouldn't you say? About the
Longer than that.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
First week or so anyway. First little while of having Norman, any time he shit, Ty would get sick. The smell of dog shit was very upsetting to Ty.
Yeah.
And, Ty's indoors, not like we just open the door and go, get out. And this particular time, where we had our sofa, it was like against the back of the bed.
Bottom of the bed.
Yeah, the bottom of the bed.
Yeah.
But the back of the sofa was lined up against the bed, is what I'm saying. And Ty was sat on the back of the sofa. And where he was leaning, he was about to get sick on the sofa, down the back of it, on the bed kind of thing. So I'm like, no. So I go to grab him and pick him up to at least place him onto the floor where I can easily clean it up. And I went to pick him up and it was like, how do you describe it? It was like elasticated. He had his nails stuck in the fabric of the sofa. So I went, and then I couldn't, and I didn't want, he's getting sick. I didn't want to make him worse. So there's nothing I could do. So Neil's just watching me hold my hands under Ty's mouth.
Yeah, and
waiting for him to get sick.
Do that.
And I was like, I have no other choice. Do you remember?
Yes.
And you were horrified.
Yes. Yeah. Like, you hear of things like that, but you don't think you're ever going to see it. Like, apparently mothers will suck a snot out of the baby's nostril.
Yeah, I've heard of that. But you can get little pump things now to just suck it out.
Yeah.
Do you like that sound effect?
No, not at all. Yeah, with Norman when he was a pup, I remember I was laid in bed. You put Norman on the bed and he pissed on me.
No, I didn't put him on the bed. You did. And I said, Neil, don't put him on the bed. He may piddle.
We remember things completely different.
We really do. I warned you about it and you're like, nah, it'll be fine. Because he's such a little dog. He's such a tiny little bladder.
Yeah.
And he was pissing every 2 seconds.
Yeah. It'd drink a mouthful of water and piss it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, he'll be fine. It's only for a few minutes. Piss straight away. On the bed.
I'm very defensive of Norman though. Like.
How so?
Well, like, the last time he was going to the barbers. Well, groomers.
Barbers, yeah.
A kid threw a ball.
At him?
At his head.
Hang on. Whoa, he didn't tell me this.
Yeah, a little kid.
Hang on.
So a little kid.
Did it hit him?
Hit him on the head. It was just a little plastic ball. And the kid was...
Did you kick the child?
The kid was laughing. And I was like, this kid's fucked up.
You ever do that again?
So I started walking over and the kid was with the dad. And then I noticed the dad had the cauliflower ears.
Oh.
So I threw a ball at his head as well.
This is all just a setup for a joke.
Yeah.
I was going to say, last time Norman went to the groomers was about a month ago. And if you're telling me a month later that some little prick threw a ball at my dog. But yeah, no, that was traumatic for everyone involved. Now, luckily, I'm not squeamish. I've got a pretty strong stomach. So although it wasn't pleasant, especially the warmth of it, it is what it is. Fucking clean it up, wash your hands, get on with it. But yeah, you were not happy that day. Not a happy face.
No, because straight away I'm thinking of the texture, the temperature.
Yeah.
Like, if you needed it, if you was being sick, no question, I would hold your hair back for you, you know.
I don't think you would.
No, I would. But not a chance in hell would I catch it in my hand, bare hands, touching my skin.
But I think
I'd be sick. I'd be sick immediately.
I think generally speaking, though, if you know, like whether it's a kid or your pet or your partner, whatever it is, when you love them and care about them so much, whatever, it's not as gross to you in a way.
With Ty, that time, I would have just let him get sick wherever he's getting sick and clean it up.
That was a lot of fabric.
I would go through that extra effort of scrubbing.
It would have been the throw on the sofa, the duvet, probably because it was like down the gap if it had gotten in, down the gap onto the fucking mattress. Oh, no.
It's a duvet.
The duvet is like the quilt on the bed.
Covers?
Yeah, the duvet, yeah.
It's the covers.
Duvet, as you might say.
Okay.
No, yeah, I mean, see, that actually probably sounds funny to people. Because you're like, if you got sick, I would, considering, you know, we've been together long enough.
Yeah.
But whenever I'm sick, I always say, no, don't touch me. Don't come near me.
Don't talk to me. Like,
I need to be...
I can't look at her.
No, I need to be on my own. And like, you're very sweet. You'd always be like, are you okay? Do you need anything? Do you want me to like scratch your back? Whatever. I'm like,
Fuck
don't.
Off.
Yeah, literally, don't talk to me. I'm not trying to be rude. Like, if you were to... We weren't talking about this the other day. If you were to put your hand on me and just like rub my arm or something, it's like motion sickness. I'm just like, ugh. I can't do it. Whereas you're the opposite. When you're sick, you're like, shower me in affection.
Yeah. Play with me, yeah.
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 No, you have. You see me get sick once. But every other time, I'm literally like, leave me alone.
When have I seen you get sick?
Do you remember after my auntie's Christmas party that year? And she's lethal with topping up your glass.
Yeah, you were bit half cut.
In my mind, I'd had like 3, maybe 4 glasses of wine. Reality, probably about 8 or 9.
Yeah, basically what her auntie does is she's a fucking ninja with the bottle of wine.
Yeah.
And you'd be in a conversation with someone else, and while you're talking, she'll have filled your glass up.
Yeah.
And you have no idea.
And I was absolutely arsehole that night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't good.
Well, to get that image out of people's heads. What are we doing today?
Well, today we're going to be talking about Jade Janks and the death of Tom Merriman.
Okay.
On the 1st of January 2021, police receive a call from a man named Adam Siplak. Adam, who was an ex-boyfriend of Jade Janks, tells police that Jade confessed to murdering her stepfather.
Jade Janks.
He told police, quote, I stewed on this all night. I barely slept, and I'm scared to death. I don't want to be a part of this. I didn't have anything to do with her. So, who is Jade Janks, and why would she confess to her ex-boyfriend that she had killed her stepfather?
She did. Because she killed him.
Slowly roll. We've only just started here. Jade was born on the 14th of October 1983 in Texas. She was described as having come from a well-off family. And when Jade was just 14 years of age, Tom Merriman began a relationship with her mother. Tom had previously been married and was a father to 2 daughters. And Tom wasn't just her mother's husband or her stepdad, he became her father. Although her mother and Tom did have a very tumultuous relationship, filing for divorce on 3 separate occasions, one thing that was stable was Jade and Tom's relationship. Even following the end of his marriage to Jade's mother, she still considered him to be her father, and the two were said to have had a very close bond.
Is this going to go where I think it's going?
Where do you think it's going?
But there was intimate.
No.
Okay.
Jade was described as a loving, caring, genuine person and was said to have been very hardworking. She worked in interior design, but she didn't just sit back. She was quick to jump in and get involved in the manual side of the work. And Tom was the co-founder and president of a non-profit butterfly farm located in Encinitas with a half-acre area for their vivarium.
I've been to a butterfly farm.
Any good?
It's hot.
Is it? It's basically like a greenhouse kind of thing, isn't it? Yeah.
But they had, it's in Leeds. And, like, they have other animals and shit, like, turtles. I think they have bats. But then you go into this one place, you go through some doors,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's just a massive greenhouse. You're sweating your bollocks off. And they have all these different butterflies, but then they have different birds as well. So you just think you're going to get shat on the entire time.
Did you get shat on?
Not as far as I know.
In April 2020, Jade moves in next door to Tom, now 64 years old. They live in the Solana Beach area of San Diego. And the reason she moved was not just because they got along, but also to be able to care for Tom, who was now not in the best of health. Of course, they spent a lot of time together, which included Jade cooking dinner for Tom pretty much every night. On the 15th of December, Tom was admitted to the hospital after a fall in his home. The fall was said to have caused 2 cracked ribs, 2 concussions, as well as facial injuries. And while there, Tom was also being treated for alcohol withdrawal.
I've had a cracked rib before. It's not pleasant.
I've never had one, but I know my dad has, and he said it's a fucking bugger.
You can't breathe. Every
can't do
time you
anything about
breathe
it.
in, there's nothing you can do. It's the same if you break your toe.
Yeah.
If you break your toe, they're not going to put a fucking pot on it.
What?
If you break your toe,
Yeah.
they don't do anything.
What are you doing about a pot?
Like a cast.
Yeah.
Pot.
I've never heard that before.
Never heard what?
Pot.
What do you mean you've never heard pot?
I've never heard someone say they put a pot on me toe.
Pot on me leg. Pot on me arm.
Never heard that before.
Okay, well, you have now.
Yeah, you learn something every day.
But yeah, and the ribs is the same. If you crack or break a rib, as long as it's not puncturing a fucking internal organ, they'll just say, fuck it, leave it. It'll fucking heal.
Yeah.
And every time you sit down, every time you walk, every time you breathe in, it fucking hurts.
Yeah. See, I've never broken anything. And I get a bit of a superiority thing.
Well, I was
between you and I, because you're always just
me and you
getting injured.
Yeah, like I were only saying to you before we started recording. I was showing you a video, and it were people like riding dirt bikes, jumping off of shit, setting fire to shit, and
Jackass,
I was like,
basically.
Yeah, and I said, me and you both lived in the same generation. I was doing it, and you were watching it.
Yeah. I was always watching Jackass and Viva La Bam and all that shit.
You're not going to break many bones.
I didn't like Dirty Sanchez though. I watched the Dudesons as well. That was the Finnish version kind of thing. I did not care for Dirty Sanchez. I thought they annoyed me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just because they were British?
No, it just, like with Jackass and the Dudesons, they did kind of like a variety of different stuff. Whereas I felt like on Dirty Sanchez, and given the name, it's no surprise, everything was just gross stuff.
Absolutely not. They did some fucking hilarious stuff.
From what I saw of it, it just never appealed to me. Like there was some stuff on Jackass where I was like, all right, that's the gross side, but I don't like that. But yeah, Dirty Sanchez was just the dirty bastards.
But that's why you weren't breaking any bones, because you were watching it on telly.
I spent my childhood watching TV and playing video games predominantly. Yeah.
Each to their own.
So getting back to the story, Tom is in hospital following his fall, and he's also being treated for alcohol withdrawal. Now, given his addiction to alcohol, it doesn't come as a surprise that he had issues with his liver, as well as his heart, for which he did have a pacemaker fitted. Tom would spend 2 weeks in hospital before his release on the 31st of December. So, we're back up now to the 1st of January. Following the call from Jade's ex-boyfriend, police arrive at Tom's property for a welfare check at approximately 4:30 p.m. As they walk up the drive, they see a pile of boxes and bags, but they don't think much of it, seeing as Christmas had just been, and it wouldn't be unusual to see excess boxes, rubbish, what have you.
Yeah.
While walking to the door, they spot Jade pulling out of her driveway. They pull her over and bring her in for questioning. With no answer at the door, and family members who are unable to make contact with Tom, police obtain a search warrant for Tom's home, Jade's, and her car. During questioning, they asked Jade if she knew where Tom was. She tells them that she brought him home from the hospital the previous day, but hasn't seen him since. The police spend the night searching Tom's home for a possible lead. At about 7 a.m. the following morning, they go out towards the drive to move the boxes and bags which were piled up. As they're doing this, they uncover the body of Tom, wrapped in a blanket underneath the boxes, still wearing his hospital bracelet and the pyjamas he'd been wearing when he'd been discharged. Jade was arrested immediately on suspicion of murder.
Suspicion?
Suspicion.
Okay. Well,
sus.
He didn't fucking wrap himself in a blanket, put himself under boxes and then commit suicide.
It seems unlikely. But I tell you what does seem a bit odd to me with this. It took them all night before going to the boxes. Now, I know they said, boxes and bags, Christmas has just been, it's not unusual. Yeah. But these weren't on the drive to the side near the bins. They were right in the middle of the drive. It was very unusual, the positioning of them.
Yeah.
I don't know how you spent all night and only at 7 a.m. the next day.
Yeah, that is a bit odd, actually.
Isn't it? The day following the discovery of Tom's body, an autopsy was performed. The final report determined that Tom's cause of death was down to acute zolpidem intoxication.
What's that?
Sleeping pills, along with other prescription medication. So, although the location of his body is cause for concern, the death itself would appear to be fairly straightforward, especially given that Tom was known to abuse prescription drugs as well as mixing his pills with alcohol. But authorities believe that messages on Jade's phone show her ill intent towards Tom. So, why would Jade feel this way towards Tom, a father who she loved deeply, even caring for his day-to-day needs?
Maybe she was helping him. Maybe he...
Oh, this was a mercy kind of thing, you think?
Yeah, maybe he was like, I'm done. But I ain't got the plums to do it myself. Will you do it for me? That happens.
Not quite.
No.
On the 23rd of December, while Tom is still in hospital, Jade is at Tom's house, cleaning and, getting the place ready for his return. While doing so, she nudges the mouse of his computer and the monitor turns on. His screensaver is a photo of Jade, nude. Now, obviously, she's horrified and she thinks, if this is his screensaver, what else does he have on his computer?
Yeah.
So
she's not fucking shy putting it as a screensaver.
Yeah. I mean,
Fuck this guy.
I will be the exact same as her. Like, if that is your fucking screen, like, what the hell? So yeah. Jade is like, fuck this, I'm checking his computer.
Yeah.
So she does. And she finds hundreds of other nude photographs of herself. Slideshows of photos of her over the years. Some dating back to when she was just 16 years of age. And also included photos she had taken with previous boyfriends.
I was going to say, where's he got the photos from?
So Jade doesn't know for sure where he got them from, but she thinks he may have taken them from her old cameras and SD cards. Because bear in mind, it was her stepdad. They were in the same house at one point, Now, it was also reported that these images had been sorted into different folders by body part.
Oh. I don't think he'll have had a folder called elbow.
Not so much. But hey, if you're going this fucking far, I don't know what the hell else he's doing.
Collarbone.
So Jade is, again, she's disgusted at this discovery and she actually became physically ill. This was the man she considered to be her father. She couldn't comprehend how or why he would do this to her.
Because he's sick.
Well, Jade loses it, and she grabs a bottle of Tom's whiskey and pours it all over his computer. She didn't know what else to do and couldn't figure out how he'd gotten these pictures at this point.
Yeah.
She just, she reacted. She would say that she felt uncomfortable even using the bathroom or getting into the shower in her own home. So much so that she started to sleep with a knife.
It's like, to do it shower and stuff, you'd think there's a camera.
I mean, that's the thing. At this point, she doesn't know how he's gotten any of these images.
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do? And you're right next to him.
You know, it's like us at work. I don't scratch my ass.
Yeah.
Just for context, because we get watched on the camera. But
they love it.
Yeah.
Big brother over there.
I don't scratch my ass in case I end up on fucking TikTok.
I feel that way about being out in public. I'm terrified, and I know I'm probably, you know, randomly in the background of loads of people's videos and photos.
Yeah.
But I'm terrified I'm going to do something weird. You know, I'm not even paying attention.
Yeah.
And then someone's going to take a video directly of me.
See, I've always said, and I still stand by it, if I was out in public and I fell off, and I got up and I saw someone videoing me, I would go over, I wouldn't say a word, I would just smash their fucking phone. Mm-hmm. I've always said that.
Yeah.
But since the podcast started taking off, and sometimes sometimes I'll be wearing the Mortal Musings hoodie.
Yeah.
You know, if it was to happen now, I would probably leave it and hope it goes viral.
Did we ever bring up the confrontation at the washer dryers?
I don't know.
I don't know if we did, but if we didn't, surely we would have talked about that. But if we haven't,
I was just a referee.
We were using like communal washer dryer thing. They, you know, the big massive drums they have, so you can
20
do
kg drum.
Yeah, you can do more or less your whole washing for the week in one go. Grand. So we're using that, and you know, it's kind of common courtesy. Once your washing's done, you're there to pick it up. Don't leave it there. Yeah. Some woman did. There was a bit of it to do because another woman unloaded her washing. Yeah. Now, of course, you don't leave it there. You're being a dick. But I was like, you also don't touch someone else's clothes. Yeah. I was like, oh.
But it's like I said, at least it was another woman.
Well,
if it was me or the other guy, then it'd be a case of you're touching women's knickers.
Yeah. So basically, there's the guy who's unloading his washing, the woman who wants to use the washer, and then the first woman who left her clothes. She shows back up to find this woman unloading her shit.
Yeah.
So she kicks off.
Yeah.
Right? So
foul mouth on her.
Neil's standing there innocently waiting to use the dryer once your man's finished unloading. And you're one. As soon as the first one who left the clothes there gets an attitude, the other one, she fucking pegs it. She's off.
Yeah.
She's not dealing with this. The other guy peacefully folding his clothes, he starts screaming back at her, there's this fucking slanging match, lads. I'm stood there. I have the car door open because I'm like, do I go over like as a female because there's two men there?
Yeah.
And I'm like, is it better off that I?
No, if you would have got out of the car, I told you to get back in.
So I'm hanging back. Neil stood there awkwardly. And then the other guy and your one are screaming at each other. And then the other woman who ran away is filming it. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then she came over later and was like, oh, I was filming just in case I got a reg, blah, 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 blah. All this carry on. And then Neil's like, oh, I don't want to be on video. Then again, I am wearing the Mortal Musings hoodie.
Yeah.
It's like, for fuck's sake.
Right, the reason why I was stood there, it wasn't as much to be nosy and to be a part of it.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't. Because
partially.
I knew what that woman was doing. She was baiting your man. She wanted your man
she literally said, hit me.
Yeah. She wanted him to hit her. I was making sure, but he wasn't going to.
No, he wouldn't have done it.
Throw the first punch.
He wasn't going to do it. I recognise him from going there before. He seems all right. If you're listening to this, shout out to you.
Yeah. That was fucking smell a drink off you.
Yeah. Did she smell a drink?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, no. That was
intense. Very
intense.
potent, and she's there going, I don't drink, and it's like, okay.
Oh, she was fucking hit me and all this, and I was like, oh shit, it's going down.
Yeah.
Over
a washer.
What was that? Washer and dryers on what was it, a Thursday night?
Yes.
Fuck me.
And then once it finished, the security guard walked around the corner. It's like, you prick, you've watched that on the monitor, and then come round.
Couldn't believe it. Outrageous. Anyway.
But she left a tea towel.
Oh, she did, yeah. Anyway, back to the case at hand.
Yeah.
We're full of stories today, aren't we? So Jade is fearful of Tom's reaction and him becoming aggressive once he finds out that she knows what he has done. She gets in contact with a man named Alan Roach. Now, Alan works in security, and he tells Jade, if you have a problem, I can fix it for you.
Oh.
The prosecution would later refer to him very, cleverly as the fixer.
Okay.
Good one, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically, Jade wanted Alan present for her own peace of mind. You know, she said, like, using the bathroom, showering. She can have someone who stands guard. But also to approach Tom and basically scare him into leaving her alone, or at least be present while she confronts Tom.
Yeah.
The day she contacted Alan to confront Tom was the same day she was due to pick Tom up from the hospital. That day, on the way home from the hospital, she stops at a store and picks up a few things.
Sleeping pills.
Jade bought gloves, towels, different paints, and a nylon cord. Jade claims that these were for a painting project at work, but of course, the prosecution thought otherwise. Like I said, she had contacted Alan about coming over to confront Tom, but Alan doesn't reply. So she proceeds to drive Tom home, and by now he's pretty out of it and hard to handle on her own. She said he had already taken some of his medication in the car. And Jade makes the decision to bring him back to the hospital, but they won't readmit him. Bear in mind when this is happening. It's the end of 2020. It was a lot stricter, you know.
Yeah.
So with that, Jade brings Tom back home and calls Adam, her ex-boyfriend. She asks him for help moving Tom from the car into the house and getting him into bed. Adam refuses to help after seeing how unwell Tom looked, and he left. Jade claimed that in her struggle to handle Tom and get him out of the vehicle, he'd fallen and scraped his head and the back of his hand.
And it killed him?
No.
Oh.
There was just some abrasions. That was her reasoning for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grazed his head, dead. Thing is, you do laugh, but true story, my uncle, fit as a fiddle.
Fit as a fiddle.
And he fell over and he banged his arm.
Mm-hmm.
And it just got a red mark on his arm. And then it literally had a line going from this mark on his arm up his arm, and it went across his chest. And then he died in his sleep of a heart attack. It was a blood clot in his arm.
Mm.
That's all he'd done. Fell over and banged his arm.
That's terrifying.
So like a graze on the head
Yeah.
could actually fucking do it. So laugh now. Okay.
So Jade is struggling to move Tom, and she doesn't know what to do. So she decides to get pillows and blankets and create a makeshift bed for him in the back of the car.
Pillows?
Pillow.
The way you say it.
Pillow.
You at pillows? Pillars.
Pillars. Now, this is something that Jade had done for Tom many times before. She was used to picking him up when he had become intoxicated. She stated, quote, "You pick up after Tom enough, you kind of pick your battles. I can't carry him myself."
Well, he can't get pissed anyway because you've dumped all his whiskey all over his computer.
She said that she would often leave him to sleep it off in the car, and he would usually wake up a few hours later and make his own way into the house. So after leaving Tom to sleep it off, she goes back to the car in the morning. She puts her hand on his leg to wake him up, and she can feel that his body is cold. Now, Jade said she didn't call 911 because she didn't want to get blamed for his death, especially as she was the last person to have been seen with him.
So she hid him so well.
Well, this is it. This is where it's not looking good for Jade. She said of her decision not to call emergency services, quote, "I was scared. I didn't want to get blamed. I was the one who had just picked him up. I destroyed his computer. I didn't want to be blamed for killing him." Which, when you factor that in, it doesn't look good with the destroying his property and, you know. So, in a moment of madness, Jade does something incredibly stupid. She pulls him out of the car, lays him on the driveway, and surrounds his body with boxes and bags. And Jade admits to this.
Yeah.
On the 7th of December 2022, Jade stands trial for the murder of Tom. The prosecution claimed that her plan was to drug him, suffocate him, and stage it to look like an overdose. The largest point of evidence appears to be messages that Jade had sent to Alan Roach. Now you're ready for some of these texts.
Okay.
"I just dosed the hell out of him. Stopping at Dixieland to stall. He's waking up and I'm not sure how much longer I can control my temper. He's waking up and getting way more aggressive. It's way more real. Fuck, he's up. I guess I'm on my own. He's waking up. I really don't want to be the one to do this. I can't carry him alone and I can't keep a kicking body in my trunk. I'm about to club him on the head as he is waking up. Now, Jade claims that these texts are not exactly how the prosecution are portraying them to be. Which, I do admit, it does not look good.
Dosed him.
Yeah, no, that sounds horrific, yeah. Right? And I'm not defending her, yeah?
Clubbed him.
But as far as how she was feeling towards this man, someone she had a duty of care towards. But she had just made this stomach-churning discovery. Is it really that hard to believe that she would speak in a fairly cold and even aggressive manner about him?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how many times does someone say to us, I'm going to fucking kill you?
Yeah.
And it's like, they don't mean that at all. Like, I'll box the head off you. You're not actually going to box the head off them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying the words she used are okay or that it doesn't mean she was being literal. But I think it's also quite easy to manipulate something. To be like, look.
But it's not manipulating it. If she wrote, I'll club him and I dose the fuck out of him, you dose the fuck out of him and you clubbed him.
No, but she didn't say, I've clubbed him.
Oh.
She said, I'm going to.
Oh, okay.
Most people have said things that they don't mean when they're angry or upset. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to follow through in them. And, you know, we don't know the full extent of these messages. Are we just getting segments out of context? Is that the full message or not?
Yeah.
Is it just what's released to us? I mean, Christ, if you wanted to take half of what we say in the podcast out of context.
Our messages to each other.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
We were at work the other day. You went to the toilet and I just messaged you saying, because we were going on our break and we needed to put our food through and Megan decided to go to the toilet. So I just messaged her the word
You did, yeah. But you get what I mean? Like, if you were to take segments of what we say in the podcast and edit it to look a certain way, Jesus Christ, some of the stuff we're saying. Do you get what I mean?
Stuff you're researching.
Stuff I'm researching. And again, like I said, I'm not saying that is the case here, but I do think it's entirely conceivable that Jay didn't want to be around him and, you know, like she stated, wanted some help in dealing with this man that now made her skin crawl. You know, like when she says, I don't want to do this on my own.
Yeah.
We don't know what she's referring to exactly. Is that murder? Or is that, I don't want to touch him, I don't want to be the one to move him, I don't want to speak to him on my own.
Yeah.
You know, and the kind of more frantic of, you know, Alan, why aren't you replying kind of thing could be because she's in the car on her own with him and it's, please, I want you here now.
Yeah.
I don't want to be with him. Now, there was another message that reads, quote, it's going to be like Weekend at Bernie's. Which again, not great, but it could be a tasteless comment made about a person who is completely out of it and you're attempting to move their body, which she already said. He was out of it on painkillers, he'd been drinking, you know.
Yeah.
Now, as far as DNA evidence goes, Tom's DNA was found in the car, but Tom was always in her car. She was essentially his caregiver, so I don't think that's, you know, here nor there.
The other bit I get from the messages, what doesn't look good for her, why was he in the trunk?
I don't know what that was about because he wasn't in the trunk. At one point when she had made the bed, obviously she put the seats down. So, I mean, technically, I suppose, if she put the seats down to make a bed.
It makes a bigger trunk. Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a, you know. I just feel like there's a lot of the messages that it depends on how you look. It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
You know. So, like I said, Tom's DNA was found in the car, but, I mean, she doesn't deny picking him up that day. He would have always been in her car. That's, like I said, it's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Jade's DNA was found on the packet of pills. I mean, again, they were kind of in her car and she could have easily grabbed the packet while escorting Tom to the car. She picked him up from the hospital.
Yeah.
Or took the packet out and handed him the pills in the car.
Yeah. I don't think that means anything.
They said they found what appeared to be blood in the car, which was fairly likely to have been Tom's blood. But Jade did state that he had fallen and gotten scraped up as she attempted to move him before placing him back in the car. Jade's DNA was found on the outside of a plastic carrier bag, and Tom's was found on the inside. Prosecution believe that Jade used this bag to suffocate Tom. The problem with this theory is the cause of death. During the autopsy, they found no signs of strangulation. The pathologist who conducted the autopsy even testified at trial that there was no signs of strangulation, but the prosecution were persistent in trying to instill this narrative. The pathologist theorised that by the time Tom had been found, he had been dead between 12 and 15 hours. He was found laid on his side. Livor mortis had set in. The discoloration to the side of his face indicated that he'd been laid for quite some time. The prosecution argued that it was totally possible for Jade to have strangled him and leave no marks if he was passed out. But if she wanted to make it look like an accidental overdose, why would she leave his body on the drive, clearly hidden behind boxes? It seems more like a panic response to me. As far as Tom's DNA being on the inside of the plastic carrier bag, well, Jade stopped at the shop while she was driving him. How often do you get in the car and you throw the bag to me? It's not out of the realm of possibility that she threw the bag to him in the passenger seat and he was like looking at like, oh, why'd you buy? And had his hands in the bag.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that's a strong enough thing, especially with no signs of strangulation. I feel like they're grasping at straws.
Yeah. And I don't throw the bag at you.
I'm not saying throw, but you know, you go, here, take that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something that does not go in Jade's favour. Jade was said to have drove to the hospital with Tom in the back and picked up a wheelchair in order to move him. I know she said she didn't want to be blamed, but still, if you're back at the hospital with a more than likely deceased person, maybe say it to them.
Yeah.
I think they're going to take a look.
Yeah. But the other thing with the messages was the stalling.
Yeah.
She said something about stalling.
So when she went to the shop to pick up the pieces, bits and pieces, she said, stop. I think it was stopping at Dixieland to stall.
Yeah.
Because Alan wasn't replying to her. So if she's...
okay. Right.
If she's stopping to stall, if we're going strictly by the message, then the items there aren't really relevant because she's stalling. She's buying, oh, well, I need to get this for work then. If we're to kind of, we could believe her side of it then.
Yeah.
You know?
I heard stall as in stall, so is in the car longer and is going to die.
It could be. I took it the other way as if she was waiting for Alan because he wasn't replying.
Okay.
Could go either way though. Now, after Jade was pulled by the police, she texted Alan and said, quote, lose my number. Prosecution said that this was her telling him to get rid of evidence. Jade claims that she was already panicking and didn't want to incriminate anyone else. Regardless of whether she wanted Alan's help in a plot to murder or just to scare Tom away, it doesn't look good, does it?
No. But anyway, with what Tom had done, she could have done more. She could have cut his Johnson off. Like,
yeah,
she could have been brutal, and it still seemed justified. This is on the same sort of territory, like,
it's not
Eileen
Warnos, yeah.
Or
you can met Lorena Bobbitt or Eileen.
Eileen.
Yeah.
I feel for her. I always have.
Course, yeah.
Like, them men were dirty bastards.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's not just someone who's done something, you know, incredibly violating to her, but it was her father.
Yeah.
It's that next step.
Yeah.
That added fucking pain to the situation. During the trial, Jade's defense argued that Tom was known for having abused substances, namely alcohol and prescription drugs, and he was already in bad health. They stated that he created his own, quote, cocktail of pills. Jade claims that Tom drank whiskey on the ride home, and if I remember correctly from photos I saw of her car, there was a mini bottle in the centre console of the car.
A naggin?
No, like the
aeroplane ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
She claims that the physical evidence is insufficient, which certainly seems to be the case, and that this case is largely built around alleged statements that she made to others. Also true. I tell you who I'm a little bit sus of in this.
Who?
Adam, the ex-boyfriend who called the police.
Why?
I don't believe, even if this was her intention, that she would have confessed all of this to him. Why would she go to someone like Alan to handle the situation, but then also tell him about it, who was an ex-boyfriend? It seems a little bit odd to me.
Well, she was panicking, weren't she? Like, look,
it's also his wording. I don't have anything to do with this. I have nothing to do with her. I don't know. I'm not saying
look
he's
at
involved.
The panic of how she didn't even dispose of the body. Like, no. So yeah, it could well be she was turning to whoever she could.
Yeah.
And then his reaction, it could be like, I don't want any part of this.
Yeah. No, I mean, of course, that is a chance, especially if saying that the whole panic response thing. It just seems a little, I don't know, the wording, how he said it on the call.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want anything to do, I don't want any part of this, and, I have nothing to do with her. But you still showed up that day, saw Tom, and then left.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it all seems a bit dodgy to me. I don't know who to believe, what the fuck's going on here. But I tell you one thing I do know. Tom's friend and business partner said of the photos on Tom's computer, quote, "I can't disprove it. I don't want to believe it." Well, let me fucking tell you, you're going to have to start fucking believing it. What do you mean? I don't want to believe it. Believe it.
Yeah.
Although Jade attempted to destroy Tom's computer, they were able to recover files from the computer and see that Tom did have the nude photo of Jade as his screensaver, and that he had had that photograph on his computer since August of 2019. So we know it was there.
See, that's the other side of it as well. Like, so take this case.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing what the police are seeing pictures,
yes.
like...
Yes. You're having to get fucking traumatized over and over again with that shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, the other thing is, I couldn't give a fiddler's fuck whether it's 1 or 100 photos. Of course, the hundreds is certainly horrifying, and it turns into almost an operation of his or a fixation on Jade.
Mm.
But even just that one photo of your stepdaughter is fucking grotesque enough.
Yeah, it's just knowing that after all that, the police are sitting there looking through it.
Yeah.
It's like, I've got to look you in the face now.
Well, this is
while
the thing.
You're investigating.
This is the thing. They either couldn't find or didn't say that they had found it, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But they do say that there was definitely that photo and it was used as the screensaver.
So, So she's not lying about the other stuff.
Exactly. I do believe Jade in that. If he's inappropriate and outrageous enough to have a nude photo of his stepdaughter, stepdaughter and carer, essentially, as his screensaver, is it really that hard to believe that he had others? Throughout proceedings, Jade has maintained her innocence. Her friends and biological father were present to support her. While testifying, she said of Tom having these photos, quote, "It was the most violating, awful, gut-wrenching feeling ever." She tells the court that they had always had a strong bond, and that it's hard to come across a person that you can trust completely. But for her, Tom was that person, and she thought of him as her father. And that is why she was so incredibly devastated by this discovery.
Mm.
After a jury deliberated for just over a day, Jade was found guilty of first-degree murder. On the 6th of March 2023, 3 months after her conviction, Jade was sentenced to 25 years to life. During sentencing, Jade wept as she listened to others speak of Tom. A local pastor praised Tom and spoke fondly of his time spent with him. Jade's biological father also chose to speak, but he chose to speak of Tom's shocking behaviour and of his support of his daughter. He said, quote, "This fight is not over," and he also went on to describe Tom as a, quote, "sick, perverted individual."
Yeah.
Jade also made a statement, quote, "Tom came into my life when I was just a little girl and exerted influence during that early stage of development when I was still figuring things out. Unfortunately, that influence manifests itself into inappropriate touch, coercion, reckless behaviour, and complete violation of what I now realise was years of psychological manipulation. All of this came crashing down on me when I found hundreds of naked photos of myself on his computer. I felt shattered. I'm still picking up the pieces, and it's my sincerest hope that over the next few years that I can put the pieces back and heal from this trauma. I'm sorry I didn't act the way I was supposed to that day. I think about it every day since.
She's doing taking over 100 photos of herself, butt naked. It's a bit vain.
Following an appeal in October of 2024, the decision was made to uphold Jade's conviction. Jade will be eligible for parole in 2038. Look, I don't know exactly how I feel about this case, but one thing I do think is Tom did something so heinous, violating and detestable, it could well have driven Jade to do something that she shouldn't have. That being, if it wasn't Tom himself, that she had given him the overdose. The suffocation angle, I don't buy at all.
Yeah.
No, like, fuck off with that.
Me personally, I don't think... I think second degree.
I agree with you.
I think it was more... He started getting ill in the car, and it might have been, fuck him.
Yeah.
I don't think she was like, I'm going to pick him up from the hospital, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, then I'm going to go there, then I'm going to dump his body under a pile of boxes in the middle of the driveway. I think everything happened there and then.
I think if we're to go from the stance that Jade did commit the murder, and considering that they believe Jade was motivated to commit the murder after finding these photos, could this not be considered a crime of passion and therefore, like you said, second degree?
Yeah.
I totally agree with you there. And I think it's...
Doesn't happen often on this podcast.
Well, this is the thing. I don't want people to hear me talk about this and think I'm siding with Jade. Seriously, lads, I genuinely don't know what I make of this case. My opinion is more I have an issue with the prosecution, the investigation, all of this. I feel like there's so many gaps, and I feel like so much of this was based on allegedly she said this.
Yeah, I think they were just going for the easy...
low-hanging fruit here.
Yeah.
I mean, from the arguments made by the prosecution and actually listening to them speak, it just seems that they decided who the bad guy was, what they would like to have happened. It was kind of, it's all wrapped up neatly. I mean, there was one point where one of the prosecutors was talking and he said, it only takes 4 pounds of pressure to strangle someone. He goes, you see when I just shook your hand there talking to the interviewer, that was about 11 pounds of pressure. I'm like, will you shut up? Like, will you stop? Like, what are you doing? Something else that gets to me about this case. No one else was charged with anything, not her ex who had been present and witnessed Tom, and not Alan Roach who she had been in contact with regarding Tom, how she felt and whatever her intent was.
Yeah.
Just Jade was solely gone after.
Right.
There's no... it doesn't sit right with me.
They're just going for an easy, open shot.
She had a motive, she did it.
Yeah.
And obviously how she left his body, not fucking great, Jade.
Yeah.
But she admits to that straight off the bat. The worst thing about it, I admit again, the text messages do not look good. How she left his body, horrific, Jade.
But it's like we said, it depends what context you take them messages.
Exactly.
Me and you had them at different, like the stalling part.
Yeah.
I was thinking one way, you were thinking the other.
I've done 2 oddities about real life weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's very tasteless if you want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of, it's the prosecution, like I said, that get to me on this. It's very, she did it. I mean, not finding the body until 7 a.m. the next day.
Yeah.
I don't, there's too many things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, lads, that's my frustration to do with the case of Jade Janks and the death of Tom Merriman.
Jade Janks.
I do want to say, what's your opinion? Well, no, I suppose, yeah. Do you want to sum up? Because obviously we've been discussing throughout. Where do you land on this? Or are you the same as me? Fuck knows.
I think she did it, but second degree.
Yeah, I think it seems most likely. You can actually see her reaction all to when she's getting sentenced. That is available online. If you like, I'll show it to you later. So you're kind of, you're thinking most likely she overdosed Tom.
Which, again, if it was first degree, she'd have already planned where she was going to dispose of the body.
Yeah.
She wouldn't plan on putting a pile of boxes in the middle of the driveway and putting him under it.
Mm-hmm.
That seems so fucking easy to work out.
There's a bit of back and forth in this where you go, Jade, no. And then you go, okay, well, you're clearly kind of making it look that way against her. And I think another point as well there with this case, as far as I'm aware, Jade didn't have anything to gain from killing Tom, like financially speaking.
Okay.
There was no benefit outside. Like, if it was the case that she had done it, then it was the crime of passion thing again.
The only benefit she got from it was that she could shower in peace, go to bed in peace.
Yeah.
Just that peace of mind.
Yeah.
That's the only benefit she really had. Oh, and a wages for, because I take it she got a carer's allowance.
No, I don't think, because she wasn't officially his carer, as far as I'm aware.
Oh.
She basically just took on, because, it was her dad.
Yeah.
She loved him. She wanted him to be okay.
Oh. Well, yeah, that were an interesting one, that.
Yeah. Lads, let us know what your thoughts are,
I think everyone will agree with me. She did it, but clearly wasn't first degree. So, Oddity.
Willie Pep.
Okay.
You actually told me about this guy.
I did.
You're the one who said, you could do that as an oddity.
I know fuck all about him.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Here we are. Willie Pep. So Willie Pep was an American boxer who held the title of World Featherweight Champion. Not once, Neil, but twice.
Yeah.
He fought 241 matches in his career, totaling 1,000...
Whoa. Did you say matches?
Yeah. Boxing match.
You don't say he won matches.
I said fought. Didn't say won. I said he fought.
No. He won X amount of fights.
I'm actually going to take a bit of issue here now. See the attitude coming out now. Because I remember previously I wrote something about a boxer and I was like, boxing match, that's right, yeah? Yeah, boxing match. And you went, yeah, it is. Yeah, you'd say boxing match. And now you're turning on me.
Yeah,
you're selling me out just like you did to that hotel receptionist.
You're using it in a different context.
Okay.
So it's a boxing match.
Yeah.
But if you're going by someone's record, they've won 200
I didn't say
fights.
how many he's won. I said he fought.
All right, so he had 241 boxing fights.
Yeah, matches, yeah. Anyway.
Matches are a game. What? Matches are a game.
Yeah, a game of boxing.
It's not a game of fucking... It's not chess boxing, for fuck's sake.
Okay, I apologise. Since you know more about boxing, I'll take your word for it. He fought 241 fights in his career, totaling 1,956 rounds. With a record of 229 wins, 56 by knockout, 11 losses and 1 draw.
Okay.
Yeah? Yeah? What do you think of that?
It's a hefty fucking record. But there's a reason why he hasn't got like a big percentage of knockout wins, which is why you're covering him.
One of his opponents described fighting Willie as being like, quote, trying to stomp out a grass fire. His ever-elusive style earned him the moniker Willow the Wisp. So, boxer, good record and all that, carry on.
Mm.
But what piqued my interest about this fella, well, Neil's interest, who then passed it on to me, was that he allegedly won a round against an opponent without throwing a single punch.
Why saying allegedly? He did.
Do you know that for a fact?
Yes.
It's not known for a fact that he did. There wasn't cameras or anything there.
Oh.
Yeah. See, you're saying, yes, I know for a fact.
That's what I've always been told about Willie Pep. He won, he was, I don't know if he's the first boxer or he's the only boxer to have won a round without throwing a punch. Because he just made the guy miss.
Allegedly.
Apparently, yeah.
So it was said before the fight, Willie had tipped off a few sports writers telling them to watch out for the third round. And on the 25th of July, 1946, Willie fought Jackie Graves, who was southpaw. So,
left-handed.
Yes. So, of course, Willie being the wind-up merchant that he was, he switched to southpaw and feigned punches in order to mock his opponent. He dipped, weaved and danced around Jackie in what was described as, quote, an amazing display of defensive boxing. So adroit, so cunning, so subtle, that the roaring crowd did not notice that Pep's tactics were completely without offence.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. No, it's just... You say it as if you were there watching it. No, but that was the thing. So I was, you told me about this and we're like, this is what happened. Because like you said yourself, you didn't know much about him, but you knew that.
Yeah, because he's like, what, 1940s, 50s?
Yeah, this was 46 when this fight happened.
Yeah.
So like I said, there's no cameras. We can't say for sure. But from what I can piece together, it did happen. He was throwing punches, but they were just...
Yeah.
He didn't actually... I think it was described as he didn't throw a single aggressive punch or something, they said. He didn't try to actually land one.
Yeah.
So like he's a wind-up merchant, this lad. He's a fucking Muhammad Ali. He's a fucking Prince Nazim type of fella. You say that's fair? Am I doing good with the boxing references?
Yeah.
Now, so that was the main thing with old Willie Pep over here that, said piqued the interest. But then when I was looking into him, I found out that on the 2nd of January 1947, Willie was injured in a plane crash that took the lives of 3 people and seriously injured others. And Willie himself, he suffered a broken leg and 2 cracked vertebrae. Not great when you're a boxer.
It's better than death.
Well, I mean, obviously. Willie was told it was unlikely that he would be the same, and he was offered $500,000 in insurance if he didn't fight again. A lot of fucking money for back then, especially.
Yeah.
Willie turned down the money, and 5 months later was back in the ring. Now, what the fuck? What would you do? Would you take the money or?
Of course I fucking would.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Fuck that. In 1990, Willie was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. He was voted the #1 featherweight of the 20th century, and the International Boxing Research Organisation voted him the #1 featherweight of all time. Quote, he made Sugar Ray Robinson's fluidity look like cement hardening. And that's Willie Pep for you.
Willie.
Young Willie.
Yeah, like, I thought it was well known. But obviously, yeah, if you're not into boxing, you're not gonna...
No, I never heard of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have now. Oh,
Did you watch any footage of him?
No, I didn't actually watch footage. I just was looking through shit tons of photographs, and I probably should have watched some footage. I think I've been remiss.
It'd just be hands down. It'd be fucking leaning back. It'd be ducking under the fucking punches, and it was so fucking good. Like it duck as someone was throwing a punch. He'd duck, and by the time they've finished throwing the punch, he stood behind him, like literally looking at the back of the head.
Well, see, like I said, you told me about it, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll definitely cover it. And then I was getting a bit frustrated because people are like, did it actually happen though? And I'm like, oh no. Yeah. So I started writing this and I was like, fuck. So I spent ages looking into it. And like I said, from what I can make out, it did happen. But to what extent is up for debate.
Yeah.
I'd like to believe it did. And like I said, he's a wind-up merchant. He was a Prince Nazim type showboating kind of...
Yeah.
He was a showman, you know?
But it is also a tactic in boxing. If you can keep making the guy miss, they're going to get frustrated. Then they're not thinking straight. And as soon as if you're in that ring and you're not thinking straight, you're done. Unless you land a very lucky shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, Willie Pep. I don't think they'll ever have anyone like him.
Where would you rate him? Like
Willie Pep?
Yeah, because I thought you didn't know a huge amount about him.
I don't know a huge amount about him, but I've watched some footage of him.
You love the word elusive in boxing, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's the best tactic to have in boxing.
Brilliant tactic.
Well, it is, because you're stopping yourself from getting hit, and taking damage. But like I said, you're also it's the mind game of it.
I remember you telling me years ago about southpaws, and you're like, oh, they're tricky little bastards to fight.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you're orthodox.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't matter how many southpaws you spar.
All right, well, I'd be southpaw, so let's lace up.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter how many southpaws you spar. It never gets easy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe just get good with both hands.
Sounds like a lot of work. Thank you so much for listening. Find us on Patreon, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. If you have a case suggestion, or maybe even your own story, email us at mortalmusingspodcast@gmail.com.